what we will do is we will talk about the topic of equipotential surface. I will take an example today, very important for your board examination, NEET examination, and JEE mains. So whichever part of the world you are and you are concentrating on learning physics, equipotential surfaces are important. There is always the question on equipotential surface which is asked. So let's concentrate on this topic today, and I will pick up one charged configuration that produces an equipotential surface, and then what we will do is based on that configuration we will have some conclusions being drawn. Okay, so all right, so let's talk about the equipotential surface. This is going to be a very small video so that you can absorb everything. So I'm not going to make a very long video today. If you want to see detailed theory of equipotential surfaces, you can go to my playlist. I will put the link below, and you can learn a lot. Lot of questions for practice and a lot of theoretical stuff. Today is an example of equipotential surface. So what we do is we pick up a point charge. So this is your point charge. And what I do is I will draw the equipotential surfaces around this charge. Okay. So this is very much in center. And you will see a way I do this is, okay, so this is my second circle. Now the third circle is having more gap. Okay, so the gap is going up. When I draw the next one, so this is the gap, less gap, then the gap has increased, and then what I will do is I will further increase the gap in the next equipotential surface. Okay, so the surfaces I have just shown you. Okay, so the surface number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So how do you articulate this? We will say the charged configuration. Okay, the charge configuration is an isolated charge. Okay, so this is single charge, point charge, having equipotential surfaces around it, and you can see the distance between the equipotential surface is increasing. Okay, now I said we will do some properties around it. So one property which is very important is if you go around, having a test charge with you and move it around an equipotential surface, what you will notice is you do no work. So if you're here, for example, right, you are at a point A and you move along the equipotential surface and reach the point B, okay? So the potential at A and potential at B are equal, right? So they are equal. So hence the word equipotential surface. So here, if I take a point C and I take a point D, so this third is also an equipotential surface. So no work is done when you move from C to D or from C to any other point on the surface, right? So even third is an equipotential surface. With the same logic, second and first are also equipotential surfaces. Okay, so this is the way we write. Very important property, no work is done, right? So work done, if you have a test charge moving around, say delta Q, and you want to write minus VB minus V. So this will be your test charge multiplied by 0, because on an equipotential surface, the potential is same. Okay, so you will get an answer as 0. So work done is 0 on an equipotential surface. Very important question for your upcoming examination, whether you're preparing for any competitive examination, can be a 1 marker. Okay, remember the charge configuration for this equipotential is an isolated charge, the simplest possible I could think of. Now let's talk about a second thing. Okay, I'm going to draw few lines now and notice what they are. Okay, so I'm going to draw them deliberately like this. Okay, so this is a line, and then I draw another line then I draw another line, and I draw another lines. Can anyone tell what these lines represent? Okay, so what they're doing is they are cutting across the equipotential surfaces. And what do they represent actually? Okay, so what they represent is the direction of electric field. So this is a positive charge, okay, and the electric field is going like this. Now we know that the work done is zero. The work done is zero. Now the work done when you move from A to B, okay, if I write it as the integral of how do you write the work done? You write it as V dq, right? Which is the delta Q moving across a potential, right? So work done can be written as the potential difference, which is VA minus VB into delta Q, and I just showed you it is equal to 0. Another way to represent the work done is when you do a dot product of E and DL and you move from A to B, right? So this is for 1 coulomb. So it's force actually FDL, force into distance moved, or the displacement. And what we do is we write it's a dot product here. Very important part, okay? Of the second thing you're learning is this. So I'm going to show you something. Now, E cannot be 0. It is not possible for you to have E is equal to 0. Electric field will exist. How can you have E to be 0? So you say electric field cannot be 0. The second thing is even the DL cannot be 0. How can you have a DL to be 0 when you're calculating the work done across some displacement? So there is no work done. There is a displacement which happens on an equipotential surface, right? So the DL cannot be 0. Now let's think through. It's a dot product and E is not 0, DL is not 0. What is 0? The angle between them. So which means the angle between E and DL has to be equal to 90 degree. This is the only way you can get a dot product, which is A dot B is equal to modulus of A into modulus of B into cos of theta. A is not 0, B is not 0, theta is equal to 90. This is the only. What does this show you? What does it tell you? It tells you that E is perpendicular to DL, which means E intersects the small parts of wherever it touches right, this is an equipotential surface. Let me try and show it to you. So if these were the equipotential surfaces, okay, the one with green, for example, now, okay, so these were the equipotential surfaces. Okay, so this is your equipotential surface. I'm not covering the whole circle, but it has to be the whole circle, right? So this is your equipotential surface. For understanding, I'm using a separate color. The DL and the E, the electric field, are at right angles to each other. So wherever the electric field crosses the equipotential surfaces, the electric field meets the equipotential surfaces at right angle. Okay, so if this is your right angle. Okay, so wherever electric field is meeting the equipotential, so this is your equipotential surface. The electric field is going like this, so this angle is 90 degree. So the conclusion being drawn is E is perpendicular to the equipotential surfaces. Very important part. The electric field, and this is one of the questions you can expect again in your board examination or entrance examination, where you are given a tricky question and in the background you have a sense that electric field and DL are perpendicular to each other, and you can use that to your advantage to solve the problem. You can go to my playlist, you will find some numericals which are a direct application of this concept. E is perpendicular to the equipotential surface. So if I have these so for example, if I draw one more line, okay, so this is an electric field. Now the electric field is meeting the surface number 1, 2, 3, 4, all at perpendicular inclination. So 90-degree angle made by electric field with the equipotential surfaces, right? So I'll just quickly revise. One is there is no work done when you move on an equipotential surface. We are doing a charge configuration of an isolated positive charge. The second thing you learned today was that E is perpendicular to dl. What is the third thing I want to teach you? Very important again for your examination. This also is used to solve numericals. If you know these things which I'm just telling you, you will get a numerical on one of these concepts pertaining to an equipotential surface. This is an example of a single charge, but the application of the concepts I'm telling you is applicable to any charge configuration. So third concept, now the electric field is given by the gradient of the potential, right? So minus sign, we already know this. Very useful expression to solve numericals. Again, electric field is defined as the gradient of potential, which means as you move forward, so for example, this is at V1, this is at V2. So if you want to find the electric field, it will be V2 minus V1 divided by the distance through which you have moved, right? So this may be your dr, and this will give you the electric field, right? So as you move, right, from V2 to V3, V2 to V3, the change in potential, which is your dV, is equal to V3 minus V2. And again, you can calculate the distance between them. This is dr, and you will get this expression. And the units obviously are volts per meter, or this is an electric field expression. So how is it related to the equipotential surfaces? Very important, right? You will ask, how do I link this to an equipotential surface? Actually, on an equipotential surface, if you see the dV expression, okay, there is no dV actually, right? So dV is 0 actually on if you see on an equipotential surface, there is no change in potential. So the dV is 0 or a constant. There is absolutely no difference between one point to the second point or a third point on an equipotential surface. What this tells you is perhaps E is proportional to 1 upon dr. So the electric field, right, in a scenario of a equipotential surface is inversely proportional to the change in the or the gap between the two equipotential surface. Okay, so E is proportional to 1 upon dr, because dV, right, as a quantity on an equipotential surface, there is nothing like dV, right? So that becomes a constant. Okay, it is a constant always, and so E is inversely proportional to 1 upon dr, where dr obviously I told you are the gaps between the equipotential surfaces. So even this expression will help you a lot, that electric field, when you cut across the equipotential surfaces, is inversely proportional to dr. That if you have a smaller dr, okay, if you have a smaller dr, then the electric field is large. If you have a large dr on an equipotential surface, then the electric field is small. So you can see the equipotential surfaces, the gap between them, initially dr is very small, then dr is increasing. So you can see the dr is increasing. As the dr is increasing, electric field is going down. So if you see the concept of equipotential surface, and what you notice is that the gaps between equipotential surfaces are increasing, then the electric field is reducing in that direction. Okay, so I can easily say that for a positive charge, if you know the expression of the electric field kq by r square, as the distance increases, so the electric field goes down. And you can articulate the same thing with the help of equipotential surface gap. If the gap between the equipotential surfaces is increasing, like in this case, this is the first gap, this is the second gap, and this is the third gap from here to here, right? So the gaps are increasing. So the electric field is becoming weaker as you're moving away from the charge. So if dr is small, then the electric field at those, between those equipotential surfaces is strong. But if the gap between the two equipotential surfaces is large, the electric field becomes weaker. Okay, so I hope this gave you an insight into some of the valuable properties of equipotential surfaces and what is going on between the equipotential surface potential and the electric field and the work done when you have a test charge moving through the equipotential surface, etc., etc. So I hope you like this video. Go to my playlist of potential, the electric potential. You will see some good videos, solutions to problems on equipotential surfaces. You can expect these problems in my playlist in an entrance examination and your board examination, irrespective of the board. Very conceptual videos, and then you will see a lot of practice being done on these concepts. So thank you very much for your time today, and let's meet after some time with another video. Thank you.